man, KaviusTv, man, we back with another video. We back with another reaction. Today's video is LeBron James has found a new team way up. LeBron James has found a new way to build a superstar team. That's my fault. I'm reading that, trying to, look at the camera and looking, But yeah, man, we finna get into this video. Like I said, I do have another channel called Kavius Reacts where I'm posting nothing but football content over there. So yeah, if y'all like football and love football like me, go ahead and subscribe. Or if you're new to this channel, subscribe over here if you like basketball like me, man. I love both sports, not gonna lie. But yeah, man, we finna get into this video. Let's go.
I think if he were to go to Miami, he would solve a lot of what their potential issues are. That Miami team could win the title. And
Pat said, look, I'll leave the key up on the doormat for him. If he want to come back, Pat know what that man represents.
2 weeks ago, if you came up to me and said that LeBron James is going to be playing for the Miami Heat next season, I would have laughed in your face. I would say that that's the kind of fake graphic you make for clout and keep scrolling. And then Pat Riley went out and traded for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And the Los Angeles Lakers, the team that LeBron James carried for 8 years, went dead silent on him. No offer, barely a phone call. And all of a sudden, this thing that I would have laughed at is a real conversation that real insiders are having on real TV every single morning. So today I'm going to be diving into the validity of this. Is LeBron James actually going to leave the Los Angeles Lakers? Is he going to retire? Is he going to join the Miami Heat or the Cleveland Cavaliers? That's the purpose of our video today. Now, real quick before we get to the content, I wanted to give you guys a huge shout out for all the support you've been giving our content over the past couple of weeks. We've been working around the clock to try to bring you the best in-depth news and analysis as soon as freaking possible. Unfortunately, we ran it.
That LaMelo trade to Minnesota, I'm not gonna lie, that was a great pick. But I just like I just like Nas Reed, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like Nas Reed, so trading them was like trading that. It's like damn, but it was a good pick. Don't get me wrong, it was a great pick. Now if LeBron go back to Miami, boy, LeBron back to Miami. That'd be crazy.
Some logistical issues with the LaMelo Ball video, but in order to thank you guys for your support, we're giving away copies of GTA 6. All you have to do to enter is make sure you're subscribed and have my notifications on. And if you want additional entries, make sure you're followed on X, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, my Flight Mike TV YouTube channel. And now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So let me set the scene for you guys, because none of this LeBron James talk exists without what happened late on Monday night. On the night before the NBA draft, news drops that Giannis Antetokounmpo is getting traded to the Miami Heat. Giannis and Bobby Portis are heading to Miami, and going back to Milwaukee is a haul. Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Khalil Ware, and Yakachunas, plus 3 first-round picks. The 13th pick from this year, which turned into Nate Ament, and unprotected firsts in 2031 and 2033. A pick swap and a second rounder. 5 years of draft capital for a 31-year-old two-time MVP who's chasing another ring. And here's the part.
Wait, I got a question for you. Where the hell is Andrew Wiggins? That's weird. He just went ghost.
Matters for us. Miami beat out the Boston Celtics for him. Boston was reportedly willing to put Jaylen Brown on the table, and don't worry, there's ramifications to that, and we already have a video covering all of that. I'll leave it in the end screen if you want to check it out. But the important thing here is Pat Riley won that bidding war, and just like that, a Heat team that was a play-in afterthought in May is a potential legitimate contender next June. You're talking Giannis next to Bam Adebayo. With Andrew Wiggins potentially coming back, there is not really a good chance that Norman Powell returns to the Heat.
We can probably take Norman Powell off of the starting five. I hate expecting him not to be there this offseason. Just financially, it's going to be very difficult for them to keep him.
But they are still a problem for the East. And that's what's so important here. The fact that Miami went from a rebuilding team with a bunch of good young talent to we've got 2 of the best players in the NBA, and they did this overnight. That is the entire reason we're even talking about LeBron right now. Because suddenly, Miami isn't a sad consolation prize. It's a place that you could go to win. Ramona Shelburne said it best on the Dan Le Batard show.
If you're going to break up the Lakers, you got to have a story.
And, well, I'll let her take it from here.
There's got to be a reason for doing it. I wouldn't have said Miami until they did this last night.
If you think about this from what LeBron values the most, he typically wants to go to a good city that has a chance of competing. And when you compare the East to the West, it might be slightly easier to make it to the NBA Finals in the East as opposed to making it to the NBA Finals in the West. If you want to make it to the Finals in the West, you have to go through the San Antonio Spurs, OKC Thunder, and the Denver Nuggets. If you want to make it in the East, you're going to have to go through the New York Knicks, who won the NBA Finals, and the Boston Celtics, who I wouldn't be surprised have some chemistry issues next year. So you might be thinking, all right, Mike, cool, but a contender in Miami doesn't mean anything if LeBron's locked in with the Lakers. So why is this even a question? Why am I not killing the story on arrival? Because of what's not happening in Los Angeles. And that's the entire engine of my story here, so stick with me, guys. Shams went on NBA Today and laid out exactly where things currently stand between LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. And it's a little chilling if you happen to be a Lakers fan.
They've got about $50 million in cap space. A lot of it is like, how much can we upgrade the roster and then potentially go back to LeBron? My understanding is there hasn't been an offer out to LeBron James yet.
So they're sitting there trying to figure out what to do with roughly $50 million in cap space first, and then, and only then, are they going to reach out to LeBron and try to figure something out. Think about how strange that is. This is the greatest scorer in the history of the sport. Without a doubt, one of the two greatest players in NBA history. Depending on who you ask, he is the greatest player in NBA history. He just gave you a 20th straight All-Star season at 41 years old. And his own team, the team that publicly said that they want him back.
Of course, any team, including ours, would love to have LeBron James on their roster.
That team hasn't picked up the phone to make a real offer days before the market opens. It's not like the Lakers are broke or Rob Pelinka is taking naps. This is a timeline thing. They just handed Austin Reeves a 4-year, $185 million deal.
LeBron has so many outcomes on the table here, and
then you never know. It's like they say, his age, it's timing, age-wise. Bron might retire next year. You feel me? 42 years old, 41 years old, going into the season, gonna be 42. Like, come on now. I wouldn't even give Bron all that money. He already made that money. You feel me? Bron is a billionaire. Billionaire. So if I Bron, I do one more season, then I'll call it quits. Year 24, I retire, man. I'm not gonna lie.
This is more likely than not that he leaves Los Angeles than stays with the Lakers.
So the future of this team is Luka Doncic, who's 26, and Austin Reeves, who's 27. LeBron James turns 42 in December, so you can see the math problem here. LeBron James doesn't fit the timeline that the Los Angeles Lakers just paid for. And then there's the leverage aspect of this, or really the lack of leverage here. Brian Windhorst put it bluntly on First Take. He asked straight up, who's coming to offer LeBron James a big contract? Nobody. There are teams that want him, but the Lakers are basically bidding against themselves. Nobody's gonna walk in and offer LeBron James a max contract, so the Lakers don't feel rushed. And that's exactly how a guy ends up feeling unwanted by the only home he's known for the past 8 years. So Los Angeles is quiet and Miami's loaded. That alone gets you a rumor. But the whole reason this has legs, the reason the media is running with it all week, is that the fit actually makes sense. And the whole talking head world is suddenly singing the same song. Let's start with Colin Cowherd, who went on a whole thing about it.
He's told you what he likes. He likes the warm weather. He's a golfer now. You can golf year-round in Miami. It's a fun city. He's been there.
And then on the basketball side,
Miami with Giannis and Bam and Portis, what do they need? Shot creation.
And Cowherd just ran the whole roster.
Spo, Riley, LeBron, Giannis, Bam, Portis, Wiggins, Bronny.
And claims that this is a squad.
That's a squad. I think LeBron's what they need. Scoring, facilitating, that's what Miami's going to be struggling with.
And the point he makes about the fit is the real one underneath all of the lifestyle stuff. Miami just traded away Tyler Hero. That was their shot creation. Their guy who could go and get a bucket. So they've got 2 superstars who dominate the paint and 0 proven guards who can create. That's a hole. And what does a 41-year-old LeBron James still do better than almost everybody? He can create shots and run an offense. He averaged 20.9 points and 7.2 assists a game last year. The man is still a point guard in a forward's body. On paper, that's exactly the missing piece for the Miami Heat. You even have Mario Chalmers out here on Miami radio saying that he can see LeBron and Bronny coming to South Beach.
I can see him coming back. It'd definitely be a good opportunity just because the players he has around him with Giannis and Bam. You can actually get Bronny some real good minutes at the point guard and keep developing him and let him learn from other guys.
But here's what should make you raise an eyebrow. The guy vouching hardest for the Miami fit is Brian Windhorst, and that's wild, and I'll tell you exactly why in a second. Windy said that he admires the Heat organization.
I admire the Heat organization so much. I value the relationships that I created in those years, and I learned so much listening to Pat Riley. I learned so much about how they conduct themselves with professionalism in class. I've got nothing but wonderful positive things to say about Miami. I think LeBron might feel somewhat the same.
Now, here's why that's funny. About a year ago, LeBron went on the Pat McAfee show and basically trashed Windy.
This guy was like, says he's like my best friend. These guys are just weird.
LeBron called Windy weird and said that he acts like he's his best friend, which the whole media world pushed back on because Windy never said that. So the same guy LeBron publicly clowned a year ago is now the one out here building the bridge to Miami. And honestly, LeBron's done versions of this before. People forget how many times this man has switched it up. He changed teams in the off seasons of 2010, 2014, and 2018. 3 franchises, 3 goodbyes, every single one on his terms, on his timeline. And it's literally been 16 years since the decision, since taking my talents to South Beach. Which brings us to the most complicated relationship in this entire story, and the one that nobody's really talking about. You cannot tell this story without Pat Riley, and the history between these two is so spicy. Rewind to 2010. Riley is the guy who pulled off the original Big Three. He convinced LeBron to leave Cleveland the first time and team up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami. 4 straight finals, 2 championships. That whole era was built by Pat Riley. Then 2014 happens. LeBron leaves Miami to go back to Cleveland, and Riley, who's hyper competitive and does not forget, was not happy about how this went down. At his end of the season press conference with LeBron gone, Riley said free agency would be easier this time. No more smiling faces with hidden agendas. Everybody knew who this was about. That's an all-time shot from a Hall of Fame executive at the best player in the world. And remember what we said about the silent treatment that LA's giving LeBron right now? Part of why Riley was so salty back then was that LeBron went quiet on him during that 2014 process. Miami felt blindsided. So the irony here is thick. The exact thing that burned Riley in 2014 is the exact thing the Lakers are doing to LeBron in 2026. But the story doesn't end with bad blood. Riley congratulated LeBron after Cleveland won it all in 2016. And then in 2020, when the Heat played the Lakers in the finals, Riley straight up said he'd leave a shiny new key under the mat if LeBron ever wanted to come back to Miami. A comment that actually cost him a $25,000 tampering fine. That's not a man holding a grudge. That's a man leaving the porch light on. And now, Riley's the one who went and got Giannis. He told everybody at his end of the season presser, I want another parade down Biscayne Boulevard. I'm not going to tank, and I'm not going to lose. This is the same Riley who's chased Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell, and Damian Lillard. If a star's available, Miami's in the room. So does the man who lost LeBron want him back? Every signal in 16 years of history says yes, he probably does. So it all sounds perfect, right? Loaded roster, old boss with the key under the mat, warm weather, golf, the fit, the story. It sounds like a movie. So what's the holdup and what's the problem? Well, the problem is the money. So here's the number from the top of the video, and it makes it really difficult for the Heat to get LeBron. When Miami traded for Giannis, they hard capped themselves at the first apron, about $209 million, and they've got roughly $18 million in space to fill 4 roster spots. So the most Miami can realistically put in front of LeBron James is the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which is $15.5 million. So let that sink in. LeBron made $52.6 million last season. Miami's best offer is $15.5 million. That is a $37 million pay cut to go chase a ring at 41. And is LeBron the type of guy to gut his own salary like that? According to Rich Paul and Brian Windhorst, not really. Windy's exact warning is, one of the things I've learned about LeBron is you never count his money and you never spend his money. The translation of that is stop assuming he'll play for cheap. Now, the counter argument to this is LeBron already took a pay cut for the Miami Heat before when he joined them in 2010, so the Miami Heat could afford additional role players behind the big three of Wade and Bosch and him. But even if he would take the MLE, it creates a domino problem. If LeBron takes that money, there's no room left to re-sign Norman Powell. And Powell isn't some throw-in. He averaged 21.7 points and shot 38% from three last year and made his first All-Star team. He's Miami's new third option. So the honest framing nobody's giving you is this: Miami can have LeBron or it can keep its new All-Star, but probably not both. So the only ways you could thread this is Andrew Wiggins would have to decline his $30 million player option and re-sign for way less, and Powell would have to take a discount too. Or Miami has to dump Nikola Jovic's contract somewhere. That's a lot of dominoes that all have to fall perfectly. It's possible, but this is not clean. But let me bring a statistic to address something that we brought up earlier in this video. Everybody is selling that LeBron James is gonna fix Miami's shot creation, and the playmaking part is very real. But here's what they're skipping. Last season, LeBron James shot 31.7% from three. His career mark is 34.8%. He had a down year from deep. He is not a floor spacer anymore. And who's he supposedly lining up next to? Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bam Adebayo. Two guys who also aren't great three-point shooters or don't shoot three-pointers at all. So you'd be stacking three non-shooters in the same offensive hub. Defenses just need to pack the paint and dare them to launch. That's a genuine basketball problem, and the hype train rolls right past it. So when you stack it up, a $37 million pay cut that he probably won't take, a roster crunch that might cost them Norman Powell, and a spacing fit that's shakier than advertised, you could start to understand why this is potentially a long shot. The vibes are perfect, but the cap sheet isn't. Alright, so if it's not LA and Miami's a long shot, where else could this go? Because Miami isn't the only name getting thrown around. Everybody wants the Cleveland fairy tale. LeBron goes home one last time, but there's a problem. The Cavs are over the second apron, which means the most they can offer LeBron James is $4 million. Wendy said that the only realistic way that Cleveland gets him is by trading Jarrett Allen, and then went, I don't see the pathway for that to happen.
The only real way that I can see that the Cavs could get LeBron the money would be to do a trade with Jarrett Allen. I don't see the pathway there.
And the Cleveland locker room might not even be the move anyway. Channing Frye went on road tripping and torched the idea of LeBron going back.
They got soul issues. They got I don't like you issues, and I don't want to be here with you issues.
When a former player who knows that building is saying that it's got chemistry issues, that's not a fairy tale. That's a warning. Then there's Golden State, and this one's got real smoke. Clutch Points reported that the Warriors are very much open to pursuing LeBron, and that Steph...
Ooh, Bron and Steph? Bron did say one point in time he want to play with, besides, he want to play next to Steph before his career end. He did say that. And I just seen where they say he had a meeting with Steph about playing with Golden State. So, I feel like whatever team that wants Bronny and him, he'll go to.
Is planning to meet and talk with him about teaming up. Steph and LeBron, the two faces of the last decade, finally on the same side, that would break the internet. And Wendy himself said if it doesn't work out with the Lakers, the Warriors are the team he'd watch. The catch is that Golden State has its own apron problems, so it would likely take a minimum deal or a sign-in trade to pull this off. Same money issue, but different city. And for what it's worth, the betting markets aren't buying this drama. On Call Sheet, the Lakers are sitting at around 57% to be LeBron's team next year. And Cleveland's a distant second, around 33%. The market still thinks he stays put. So, what do I think is going to end up happening? Let me give you my honest read on this, but bear in mind, I've been wrong before, guys. I think when the dust settles, LeBron is still probably a Laker next season, but not on the deal that people assume, because nobody's bidding against LA. I think he ends up taking a shorter, cheaper number than his ego would normally allow, and they run it back one more year around Luka. That's the boring but most likely answer. But, and this is a real but, for the first time in years, there's an actual story somewhere else, and Miami is the only one of these landing spots where the roster is good enough to make a pay cut make sense. Cleveland's messy and broken. Golden State's capped out. Miami's got Giannis, Bam, Pat Riley, and a key under the mat. If LeBron's gonna chase one last ring on the cheap, that's the only door that even slightly cracks open. And here's the thing I'm actually watching. The thing that tells you which way this breaks. Does Rob Pelinka in the front office put out a real respectful number on the table before June 30th? Or do they keep slow playing it? Because if I'm LeBron and my my own team won't even call me back, and Pat Riley's got 2 superstars and an open hand 2,700 miles away, you start to wonder if you're wanted. And feeling unwanted is exactly how the greatest players end up in jerseys that you never thought you'd see. That silence in LA isn't nothing. The silence might be the decision. So let me know in the comment section down below. If you're LeBron, do you take way less to go chase a ring with Giannis and Bam in Miami, or do you run it back in LA for the bag and the comfort? Let me know in the comment section down below. Aside from that,
man, me personally, I'll go to Miami, man. Chase that ring. Fuck it, whatever they got to say. Hey, I got 5 rings. Shit. What can y'all say? Even though the comment, oh, he went to there to go chase. He went there to go chase a ring. Jordan would never do that. I understand, but man, it's a different ball game now, baby. It's different. Well, I'm tired of saying that too, bro. But I don't know, bro. I feel like I'll do that. Take a pay cut, go there, cause he not gonna win no more in the West. Sorry, he not gonna win no more, unless God give him talent. It's just, something happened. It'd be that year for him to win. Yeah, hey. But y'all let me know, man. Like I say, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Go subscribe to the other channel at Kavius Reacts, man. The link will be in the description down below. So yeah, man, y'all go check that channel out if you love football. And check it out if you're new to the channel. If you like basketball, man. Subscribe. See y'all next video.